So this is about the container, and this is the important bit because we're actually building a container together. It's not just my container. So my container is part of this, right? I am offering my container, my nervous system, as as an offering to you so that you can expand your nervous systems through receiving information from mine, receiving an invitation from mine. Okay, so my nervous system is part of this container. Your nervous system is also part of the container. All right. So we're all actually forming the container as well as being in the container. Okay, so we're both. We're always both. We'll have different roles or different things, but we're always both. So along with the learning container, I want you to think about the group session. That's what I refer to as, I just call it the session in the workbook, but it's the group session as a container. So that's why it's not distributed, because we're actually trying to actually contain that quite well, and having people attend at a particular time to help with forming the integrity of that container and maintaining the integrity of that container. The safety there, the ability to share without concerns about privacy, without concerns about people coming in and out as they so wish, all those sorts of things. It is actually one of the reasons why I have the, it's why I have the waiting room set up, but I need to do that and then figure out how to put a lock on the room is what I want to try and do. So I'll see if I can figure that out tomorrow. So we have that done for Thursday. Okay, so the group session as a container. Then we have the process as a container. So that's another container, another Russian doll, okay? Where I think the thing I want to say about the process is it's a process of, it goes beyond technique. This is all about being as opposed to doing. This is the container. The nervous system container is the intake and the uptake and the receipt of more being and less doing, at least on a nervous system level. At least on a nervous system level. All right, it doesn't really matter about what goes on the outside, because what goes on the inside will affect what goes on the outside. Okay, so as above and so below. What we're actually focusing on is less doing and more being on the inside. Okay. The other container is the holding as a container. I know that's a little funny word. What I mean by that is the attunement to what happens in the present moment and the response to that. So actually all of us being aware of about what's being presented and how we respond to that. There's a holding in that. Do we just kind of like say, yep, move on? Or do we say, oh, I'd like to know more about that before the next part is moved on to? So that's why there was a bit of a change around with the timetable, the program on the first week. Caught me off guard. Believe me, I wasn't totally prepared for it, but that's what we do. Okay. So the other container is me, the clinician. I'm referring to, that was the best word I could come up with for not just me, but for any of us as practitioners. I decided to call it as the clinician, okay? Apart from the fact that it's got that lovely little alliteration, the clinician as container, it just felt like that was the most sort of neutral, but I don't know, referred to our different expertises and trainings, okay? So the clinician is also a container, and so that's why, like, there's me doing this and holding this as the course clinician, but there's you also as the clinician for your particular work. And that's, so that's the service-based practitioner, however you serve. And there's some great bits of notes in the workbook around containing, and how that relates to emotional availability in particular. So, and also clinician vulnerability, how much we disclose. And it's certainly a topic I'm going to say is open to discuss at any one time, any time at all, if people want to talk about. It's called self-disclosure. It's like what is appropriate to self-disclose, and at what time is it appropriate to self-disclose. Generally, it's the timing and also the intent. These are the two things that make self-disclosure therapeutic or not therapeutic. Okay, it's not about what you disclose generally, it's about the timing of it and the reason behind it. So that if I, as a psychotherapist, choose to disclose something because I want to get something off my chest, or I want to feel better, or I want somebody to know something, then that's not, it's not my session to do that, right? I could disclose the exact same thing, however, and if I disclosed it because I had a very clear intention that it would actually benefit the healing of my client, then it's perfectly okay. And particularly if it benefits the healing of my client, I choose the perfect timing of which to offer that. All right, so there are really, really key concepts when it comes to emotional vulnerability as a clinician, and that absolutely deeply affects the safety and the container, right? And the container that you build with your clients or you offer your clients. We are building together because this is a co-creation process, but you may be building something for your clients. And then, in fact, you may also be able to co-create with your clients. But sometimes clients come with such vulnerability, you need to be able to offer them the container. They don't have the capacity necessarily to build one. Other clients will come with capacity to build, and sometimes you need to say, I know you're fully capable, but I want you to just sense how it is to just be a guest in my container. And that can be one of the hardest things for anybody to learn in this world, because we're so focused, particularly in our culture, on independence. We're so focused on being independent that we are not taught that there is virtue and value in being a guest in somebody's container and not doing any holding at all of the other or of the self. And that doesn't mean you have to fall apart, but that just means that you can surrender over and have the experience of somebody else supporting you fully. You can feel the support of somebody else offering, giving, doing something for you that you might not have ever really got. So that's another invitation some of you may wish to take up. Not just from me, from the group. Okay. That's the purpose of why we're here as a group, is that you can, if you wish to, you can find out what it's like to drop into somebody else's container and not have to do the work of shoring everybody else up emotionally, protecting other people emotionally from your emotions. That is a big one for many people, right? We all have our reasons for why we won't let go or can't let go in a group or with others. And some of it is to protect other people from ourselves. Okay. So you can try that on in this group context of what is it like to not do that, or to not do that a little less than usual. So that's the concept of titration, which is also part of this container.